Yo, what's up guys, it's Avalon. Throughout the years of playing Siege, I've come to pick up a lot of information about the game. Mostly information, maps, and their interactions. However, there are some very interesting tips, small tricks, and tips in general that I feel like almost no one knows, or at least things I've found out about myself that I would like to share with you guys. I'll actually go as far as to say you most likely have never heard of some of these interesting things before. From animation cancels to weird things about the game and how it works. Stuff like very specific details about things that might be useful to you, and stuff like that. This is a video showing stuff you don't know about Rainbow Six Siege. As always, ratings are appreciated, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. Also, quick disclaimer, not everything here is necessarily quote-unquote advice, or something that can actually help you in a given scenario. Some stuff is only here because it's bizarre, it's something I've learned just playing the game randomly, it's something interesting I found, and felt it was worth sharing. Also, I didn't manage to get footage for everything listed in this video, so some things might just have standard gameplay over it. With that being said, let's get started. Number 1, reinforcement cancels. If done correctly by releasing your action key, which is the default of F on PC and X on PlayStation, you can actually animation cancel the reinforcement right before your operator places the handle on the wall. If this is done correctly and perfectly, it can save you about maybe like 1/3 of a second per wall. Factor in someone like Pulse, who has time to reinforce a lot due to his small amount of utility and high speeds, means this can actually save you and your team quite a bit of time during prep phase. Unfortunately, this is not possible with hatches. I've tried multiple times. I can't seem to get any luck with it. Reinforcement canceling is extremely tough to do, and with Operation North Star, it's pretty much impossible to do. But mastering it and getting used to the timing can help you out. I definitely recommend trying this out. It's super interesting. Number 2, reload canceling from empty. If you're close to a gunfight and you know you need to take one very quick, but you're out of ammo, the fastest way to kill someone after an empty reload is to hold your aim key, which is right click or left trigger on console. You can immediately aim down sight or even shoot if you hold your shooting button. This is good if you need to open up a wall or a barricade, or just to ready your weapon quicker. This can also be done with shotguns, however it's best to just reload in bulk as it's faster in the long run. Number 3, regular reload cancel. Now that you know how to reload cancel from an empty magazine, you can learn and master the regular reload cancel in general. If timed correctly, you can negate the end of the reloading animation similar to the empty reload animation. However, this one is harder. To do it, you first need to match the point in the animation where the ammo count is increased, and immediately aim down sight, shoot, or sprint, repel, pretty much any action that you would like to do next. Every weapon has a different timing, so you're going to need to master every weapon to truly benefit to the best of its ability. Better get practicing. Number 4, bullet bug. I am not sure what to call this, so I just called it the bullet bug. If you have more than about 30 ping to the server, it's possible to shoot a bullet while reloading and still have the bullet rechambered. It's very tough to do, and it doesn't really have a use outside of any sort of random bullet hit fired out of the gun kind of thing that happens sometimes, maybe, I don't know. It's just something I found out that's kind of annoying when it happens. Number 5, shield animation cancel. This is something I've built very naturally as muscle memory in preparation phase, almost to the point where I almost forgot it in this list. And that is canceling the shield animation. Towards the end of the animation, where the deployable shield is fully raised, you can immediately release the gadget button to get out of the animation quick and do your jobs in prep phase quicker. 6, weapon sprint swapping. This is something I'm surprised a lot of people don't know actually. Usually, when you're sprinting and you swap to your other weapon, or even a holdable gadget such as Hibana's pellet shooter, stuff like Zophia's lifeline, stuff like that, there's a period where your character slows down to switch and then continue sprinting. Well, it turns out if you release your sprint key and you hit your swap key and immediately begin sprinting in the animation, your character will remain sprinting and maintain his speed. This is useful in many reasons. The most common reason, at least in my practice, is to get out of spawn as an attacker faster. Knowing you run faster with your pistol out It's possible to use this in combination with a sprint swap to really increase your speed out of spawn quite considerably. I actually sometimes weigh this in when I'm playing someone like Fuse. Let's say they are on ventilation workshop first floor and I would like to, fuse above. I can, gauge how fast I can get to that location and what I'm supposed to be doing. This sort of makes one speeds pretty good in my opinion, or at least better than they usually would be. 7. You can lean while picking up armor. Not much to say here. This, I think, is only on PC. Number 8. Hatch breaking tech. Many people know that DMRs, Glazo's sniper, Tachanka's DP28, and all the shotguns can obviously break hatches with a set amount of rounds. However, this can actually be reduced by taking into account where your bullets are traveling through the hatch. The best tip I can give you is to maximize the amount of time the bullets are in the quote-unquote hatch zone. This is typically where the wood things are when you usually break a hatch and you don't really pop it. There's these like wooden beams that you see to do the most damage to the hatch. When you go to break the hatch, make sure to do it diagonally, with a corner facing you. When you shoot the hatch, make sure you're shooting it as flat as you can and a bit further back than you usually would. This makes shooting hatches super fast, easy, and consistent. Performing this correctly can cut the ammo required in half for multiple hit weapons such as the ones listed above, or one shot with even some of the worst shotguns like the Bailiff or the Super Shorty for reference. Number 9. Run through impacts. Impacts are a man's best friend when it comes to making rotations for your team, or making lines of sight the enemy isn't expecting. Many people know that you can either choose to make them crouch-sized, meaning you're required to crouch through them, or vaultable ones, which are higher up and require you to vault to successfully pass through them. However, many people don't realize that you can actually combine the locations of these two impact spots to make one that you can both crouch and pass through completely stood up. This is useful because it not only saves you ammo required to make it both standing and crouching manually, but also gives you the ability to rotate extremely fast to set up and prep phase faster, and it can even catch enemies off guard if it's for a run out, such as detention wall and border. There's no specific placement that I've learned, but there probably is that you can mess around with in a custom game. Ultimately, it all comes down to practice and learning the curve of the impact grenade to place it correctly. 10. Barricade Manipulation. This is quite a long one actually. Barricade Manipulation is something mastered by very few and allows you to completely bamboozle attackers, and even defenders if done correctly. The first trick I'll show you is the crouch through trick. By breaking these two panels in very exact spots, you can actually make the barricade passable by crouching. The reason this works so well is because players who rely on sound to decide to play defensively or offensively will use the sound of the barricade breaking to tell them that you're now entered the building. If you've only broken two panels, they won't think you've entered the building yet, and will still be waiting for a barricade to break. The reason this is possible is because your feet don't have a collision hitbox. Upon hearing this, I was confused, but it makes sense. It's mainly to make walking over small objects, like suitcases, bags, purses, and sometimes debris more consistent. This mechanic can also be abused to squeeze through barricades not yet broken. You can also do this by proning, however it's not as effective. The second trick I will show you is the double punch trick. On many maps, barricades, especially windows, will either have a patch of barricade below the window or a frame on the other side of the window. By studying lines of sights on either sides and knowing this mechanic, it's possible to really break barricade mechanics. Now, I want you to think of a vaultable barricade as a sort of counter in your head. Each melee on a barricade adds 1 to a counter totaling 3 total melee hits. 1 hit on a barricade damages it, 2 hits makes it vaultable, and 3 completely breaks the barricade. Now if you actually melee the wooden edge of the barricade, it will count towards the vaultable counter. Well, what does this mean? Well, you can make vaultable barricades look pretty much completely normal. The clip I show you actually uses the frame of the exterior part of the window frame as a blocked line of sight. To Nomad here, she has no idea the window's vaultable. Combined with very specific timing from audio,
Hit media.
this results in her being, well, as the kids say, good-nighted. The third trick is not actually directly from the barricade, but it comes from the mechanics surrounding it. Did you know that the sound from outside isn't actually blocked by the barricade, but rather the window behind or in front of it. By breaking the glass behind the barricade, it allows you to hear behind the window much more clearly.
Not really. I feel like someone's gonna rush away though. Or like snow door or something.
This can be done in spots like cafe on second floor cocktail or piano, or pretty much any window with glass. This can be really good for things like breach charges, repel sounds, or even with Fuse or Amaru where they interact with a barricade to gain value. The last trick about barricades is quite small. Additionally, barricades can be broken much faster at a steeper angle when shot, such as really high up, as your bullets penetrate more than one piece of the barricade at a time. This results in some bullets doing 2 separate hits to the barricade. 11. Drone climbing. In my opinion, the untapped potential of using drones effectively is still very small, and I think it will raise in the coming years. By considering the hitbox of the drone and how it jumps, it's possible to climb vertical walls, ledges, and furniture to gain really hidden positions that no one would expect. This is tough to do. Pretty much any wall ornament has a hitbox that your drone can stand on, such as a clock, a painting, door frames, pretty much anything you can see on the walls. The tech when it comes to drones is pretty much never ending, so if I were to elaborate on more advice and tricks and stuff, it would be an entirely separate video that I would make. And that's it for the general tips about the game that can be applied to gameplay with pretty much any operator. Now, I'll get into hero-specific tips, starting on attack. I'm going to hammer these out really quick, so try to keep up. Keep in mind, not all operators have tips like this, so I'm only putting the operators I know have tips that you can use to your advantage, or just funny interactions I found while playing the game. Sledge. You can cancel a hammer swing with numbers 1 and 2 on PC. These are the buttons for primary and secondary weapons. This only works by pressing the number of the weapon you had equipped previously. Thermite. You can use the explosive area to open otherwise unopenable walls. These are 2 examples that I found. Fuse. Cluster grenades go from right to left. If you're precise, you can also animation cancel the placement of your cluster charge to save time. Blitz. You can still use your flash on your shield while aimed down sights. Buck. Using the laser, you can actually get vertical lines of sight through multiple floors at the cost of slightly worse destructive capabilities at closer ranges. Blackbeard. Interestingly enough, you can lean while placing or removing your shield. Hibana. If you run right after shooting pellets, you can immediately set them off without having to reload. Jackal. If you're good enough with your controls, you can track feet while moving. This can save time if mastered. Ying. 1 Candela charge can negate all Wamai discs due to the fact that individual flashes count as a projectile for Wamai's disc to catch. Zofia. The reticle changes depending on whether you have stuns equipped. Additionally, if the lever's on the left side of the launcher, it's going to fire impacts. Vice versa if the lever's on the right side. Dokebi. It's possible to cancel the call animation to save time taking advantage of the calls. Lion and Finka. You can cancel the animation by aiming down sights. Nomad. If you hold your aim down sight key, you can fire air jabs quicker to save time. Yana. You can use the fact that her clone spawns in front of her to save time joining up for your team. This can be done in very specific spots, and it looks cool when you do it. Flores. Although it's pretty tough, it's possible to climb the attacking side of reinforcements with little notches to jump the drone above the wall if there's a clearing. Alright, hopefully I didn't lose you. I'll be switching to defense. There are less tips here, so keep that in mind. Dock. Using sprint mechanics and timing the animations correctly, it's possible to stim yourself way faster than usual by cancelling the animations. This is useful if you need health quick. Echo. You can put your drones on really weird surfaces to confuse attackers. Mira. If you hold your gadget deployment key, which is most likely your left mouse button, and gradually move into place, you can put mirror windows in the perfect spot every time. This also works for mute jammers and ADSs to name a few things. Vigil. If you have points on, you can flash your cloaking ability on and off, and use the increase in points to determine if there are any drones around you, or how many. You get 2 points for every drone flashed at one time. Mozzie. By using audio, you can find out exactly where the pest is on a door. By jumping on the opposite side at a high enough height, you can completely get past Mozzie pests if placed incorrectly. Make sure the vertex of your jump, which is the highest part, is near the frame of the door. Oryx. Oryx not only breaks walls, but he also can break furniture. You can use this to make really crazy lines of sight that otherwise couldn't be made. Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. This video was originally going to be much smaller, however I ended up finding and realizing how many more tips I actually knew than I thought. And so here we are. I really hope you learned something and can practice these, as they will ultimately make you a better player. And yeah, as always, ratings are appreciated, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon. Later, everyone.